This time, as the giant builds progress, a bumpy start for Maersk's new super tug.
So much said about precision.
The tanker team attempts its biggest lift yet.
The wind is definitely a factor when they lift it. Oh, careful.
And a rig collides at sea.
The rig is swinging too fast to the carrier.
Take us to Sandstock line.
In vast shipyards across the globe, elite engineers are joining forces to build a new breed of marine machines to do battle with the world's roughest seas.
There are no cutting corners or no cheating.
A giant tanker as long as 2 football pitches.
Building ships is actually like a big 3D puzzle.
A mighty super tug with the power of 180 cars.
Time is always our enemy.
And the world's biggest jack-up oil rig.
It's engineering on an epic scale.
There's got some problem down there.
Stop, Augustus, stop.
Constructing these ocean giants on time and to spec is the ultimate test
No, she's really a beast.
of teamwork and skill for the world's biggest shipbuilders. A cold January day in the South Korean port town of Okpo. Overlooking the busy shipping lanes of the Korean Strait. Here, in one of the largest shipyards on Earth, one of the biggest jack-up rigs ever built is nearing completion, under the watchful eye of veteran rig builder Erik Yule Madsen.
There are always construction challenges, there are engineering challenges, things doesn't fit. That makes it even more exciting because you have to find a solution. That's part of the job.
Erik's current challenge is the $650 million rig, the Invincible, designed to drill for oil 12 kilometers below the North Sea. When launched, she will be the largest jack-up rig in the world.
It's absolutely engineering on an epic scale.
This morning, the rig team is limbering up in the cold for one of the toughest physical challenges of the entire build.
We stretch every day, once in the morning and once after lunch. We stretch to feel good and to be safe at work.
Each of the yard's 45,000 workers perform this 5-minute stretching routine before the start of every shift.
I feel great afterwards.
But today, it has extra significance. With her hull now complete, workers are about to begin the daunting job of installing the rig's vast network of electrical cable. It's a crucial task. One faulty connection, and the safety of the rig's crew could be put at risk.
How wide is the cable tray?
800 sizes.
800 sizes.
Yes.
Marius Gural is the man in charge.
Part of my job is to go around the construction site and check all the cables are installed neatly and correctly. But look at this one.
Marius has been building rigs for several years, but for sheer scale, the Invincible outstrips everything.
We have 4 engines on the rig, which generates almost 11 megawatts of electrical power, which is enough to power up the small town. It's a lot of power and a lot of cabling.
The rig is so vast and complex that Marius and the team must fit more than 800 kilometers of cable. Enough wire to stretch from London to Frankfurt. The cables must snake between decks, around tight bends, and through the smallest of gaps. They will stretch to every corner of the Invincible, feeding power to all its critical systems. To keep on schedule, workers must today install one of the largest cables on the rig. It measures almost 100 meters and weighs more than half a ton.
So what we have in here today in main event is pulling cable for a fire water pump. It's very important cable because a fire water pump, it's responsible for our safety on the rig. It supplies water in the event of fire. So right here we have the end of the cable, which eventually does go to fire water pump. As you can see, it's fairly heavy cable. It's very difficult to bend. So you can see how workers can have to struggle installing this cable.
The team has its own system to help the giant cable along.
So we have guys pulling the cables. They all synchronize by one supervisor who gives them the shout to pull the cables.
They are shouting like, oh Gaia, oh Gaia. Because the cable is very, very long, over 100 meters. So that's why they have to shout like, oh Gaia, oh ready, Gaia, go. Ready, go, ready, go.
Everyone using the same force, the cable, which makes it much more easier, especially for the bends. As you can see, the cables is not going straight. It has lots of bends, twists, up and down, everything.
As the team struggles to install the giant cable, Marius gets a message from his boss, Gary.
Yeah, that's Gary. Yeah, we have a lot of work to do, but he's having an awesome time in New Zealand, which is right now is a summertime day, and we're freezing our SSI.
It takes a back-breaking 8 hours to haul the end of the cable to its socket.
Here we go, they finished pulling the cable for our fire water pump. Now it's going to be cut to length and connected. Well, they've done a perfect job, and it's been a really, really hard day for them. They deserve a lot of surgery today.
As the sun sets and the temperature plummets further, Marius and the team celebrate a job well done with a friendly game of joku, one of South Korea's biggest sports. It's Maersk versus the Yard.
It's Korean kind of like a volleyball football or tennis football. We have 2 teams, 5 aside, and then you can use your head only and your feet. I think it's really good for relationship with the yard. We usually have a dinner after, and yeah, it's just keep the good spirit and healthy teams.
It's a narrow victory for the Yard.
We lost. Just the 2 points, but we lost.
Come here.
Next, the Tangier heads into the harbour for the first time.
If anything should go wrong, then it's out of our hands.
And the Invincible sister rig sails into trouble.
The rig is swinging too fast to the carrier.
Tongyang, South Korea. And another bitterly cold day, this time at the giant Sangdong shipyard, where a team of welders, riggers and painters is building a mighty ship. The 10,000-ton Maersk Tangier, designed to carry everything from palm oil to petroleum. Peter Bertelsen is overseeing construction of the steel Leviathan.
The shipyard is probably a week behind their latest plan, but it should be able to be catched up so we can deliver at the contractual delivery date.
With the yard behind schedule and the clock ticking, Peter and the team are racing to install the Tangier's last big building block. Her supersized superstructure. It contains the ship's living quarters, funnel and bridge.
But the superstructure is where the crew lives, so to say, and it's also where they sail the ship from. This is one of the largest lifts on the yard, and this is also the last lift on board the vessel.
To keep it under control, workers attach the load to the crane using 30 extra thick steel cables.
It's big and unhandy, so they have to use all the hooks on the crane to make sure they lift it correctly.
Each cable is made from 6 separate strands, containing dozens of individual steel wires, all tightly woven to form one ultra-strong cable with a lifting capacity of 132 tons. With the last cable attached, crane op Ji-Hwan Kim eases the giant block off its supports.
Oh, careful!
지금 부는 거는 한 12개, 평균 한 14개 나오네요.
When they put up the accommodation, there is some guys to steer it in so it stands correct. They have a small piece of steel that has an edge on the top, and then they can guide it in the right place.
As the block nears touchdown, the crane supervisor orders Ji-Hwan to halt, while workers clear the deck of some equipment. With the light fading, it's a delay Peter doesn't need. The drop zone now clear, Ji-Hwan gets the go-ahead to resume the lift. But now, he's working in almost total darkness. Helped by his ground team, Ji-Hwan finally eases the block down with millimetre precision.
For putting together the hull, yes, it's a major milestone because now it finally looks like a tanker vessel.
But the team can't afford to relax just yet. After 22 weeks of construction, the Tangier now needs to make way for another ship. So today, workers must shift the tanker onto a giant submersible dock, where she'll sit for the next 2 days, before it's sunk from under her, allowing the Tangier to float off. Kelvin Thompson is overseeing today's big move.
The situation is at the moment that Peter is on a short vacation in Denmark, so it's a little stressing. Yeah, we are very busy at the moment.
Few cranes on Earth can lift the 10,000-ton Tangier, so workers place over 40 wheeled trolleys beneath her hull. The trolleys run along steel rails embedded in the skidway. Hydraulic pistons allow workers to raise the ship. before slowly rolling her along the skidway and onto the floating dock.
Anybody in there? So here's part of the trolley system. So now all that is carrying the vessel is these trolleys. When they start moving the vessel, of course, the concern is that first of all they're moving in the same speed and that they follow each other. As the vessel stands now, we can't do anything. If anything should go wrong, then it's out of our hands.
With the trolleys in place, the move gets underway. Little by little, workers guide the giant tanker along the skidway. But as the ship nears the edge, the team faces a new problem. Transferring it from dry land onto the floating dock. Yoon Sung-oh is the dock's chief operator.
When the ship is loaded, it adds weight to the dock. So the most important thing is keeping the dock level with the quay.
The floating dock has a series of special tanks inside its hull that Yoon Sung uses to keep it level during loading.
These are the tanks for ballasting. These are the levels of each tank.
Over the next 3 hours, the giant ship edges onto the floating dock. If Yoon Sung has miscalculated, the weight of the ship could completely overwhelm it. Long after nightfall, the Tangier is at last in place on the floating platform, where the team will apply the finishing touches before launch.
Today's job was well done. I'm proud that it went well without accidents.
30 kilometers away, in Okpo, Eric and the rig team arrive for an important milestone of their own. Over the last 9 months, the team has built the Invincible's enormous hull, attached her giant leg wells, and installed over 800 kilometers of cable. Now, it's time for one final push. Installing the rig's huge drilling tower, or derrick. The derrick will house all of the equipment needed to drill for oil 12 kilometers beneath the ocean floor.
The derrick is the part which support all the drilling operation, hoisting and handling of all drill pipe.
Eric is relying on Cornu Scaft to make sure today's lift goes without a hitch.
And when that is down under, then we have enough space to get over. And the derrick, as you see, is hanging out here. And it's a big, big thing we have, so we are very exciting here on site.
Captain Song Jing-oh and his floating crane have already hauled the derrick to the rig's construction site. Now, he must lift it up onto the rig itself. The 65-meter tall derrick will push Song Jin's crane to her height limit. With her hooks raised to maximum, Song Jin maneuvers the crane towards the rig. Unable to see the drop zone from the bridge, Song Jin relies on feedback from his ground team.
We have 776 tons hanging in a floating crane, so we have to focus on the lift now and communicate. And if somebody says stop, it's stop.
Constant pounding by wind and waves could damage a rigid weld, so workers secure the derrick to the Invincible with 28 strong but flexible steel bolts.
Even take a picture here and send it.
Now start to like an oil rig.
Finally, the derrick is secured.
That's good.
Eric's not finished with the Invincible just yet, but one of the last big pieces of the puzzle is finally in position.
With the derrick now in place, we are definitely one very big step closer to completion of the project. So it really feels good.
Next, a bumpy start for Maersk's new super tug.
So much said about precision.
The historic port of Gdansk, the heart of Poland's shipbuilding industry. Nestled on the country's Baltic coast, its yards produce thousands of tons of ships a year. In the dead of winter, a skilled team of 350 workers has come together to create an extraordinary and innovative new ship. Knut Ferlkopf is the man in charge of this pioneering project.
It's not about luck, it's about proper planning and execution.
Knut has worked in shipping for the last 32 years.
I started my career as a deckhand on a small chemical tanker and then made my way up on container ships, cruise vessels, Coast Guard vessels, up to chief officer and chief engineer.
These days, Knut is building ships. His current project, a powerful and ultra-mobile super tug, codenamed the Starfish. The first of 6 tugs commissioned by Maersk. Her job will be to pull enormous loads and ferry vital supplies out to offshore oil rigs. The project is the brainchild of Niels Elmbo, based at the company's global headquarters in Copenhagen.
The Starfish is what we call an AHTS, an anchor handling tug supply vessel, which is mainly built to do anchor handling, act as a super tug, and they can pull anything that floats.
The Starfish is so versatile, its designers have nicknamed her the Swiss Army knife of the seas.
The vessels are brand new design, they're packed full of technology and are designed to work in the harshest environments in the world.
To meet demand, Niels needs the first ship to be built in just 11 months' time. The pressure is on Knut and the team to deliver.
I feel very privileged that I can be in a very important role in this project. To see it from the first steel plate being cut and then in nearly 1 year time see the first vessel sailing away.
To speed up construction, Knut has split the first stages between 3 Polish yards. Here at the Montex yard in Gdansk, work has already begun on the Starfish's bow, featuring a complex but crucial component. To avoid dangerous collisions, rig supply vessels must be able to hold their position in the roughest seas. To do this, they all rely on a piece of technology known as a thruster. Each thruster has its own propeller mounted inside a hollow tunnel. Unlike a standard propeller designed for forwards or backwards movement, a thruster propeller moves a ship from side to side. Armed with 5 of these thrusters, 3 at the front and 2 at the rear, the Starfish will be able to maintain control in even the toughest conditions. Knut has timed his visit to coincide with the installation of one of these thrusters.
Right now I'm standing in a big tube. It's going to be one of our thruster tunnels. The installing of this tunnel into the ship structure is of course a challenge in itself. It needs to be extremely accurate.
With the bow lying upside down for easy access, the team gets to work.
So far so good. She's moving nice and slowly. I mean, it's a heavy thing, a couple of tons of weight, and it's not that easy to relocate once it's in position, so the lift needs to be really accurate. At the end of this rainy, windy day, I think we're all looking forward to get a hot shower, a hot tea.
As the crane lowers the 5-ton thruster into position, they hit a snag.
Apparently it doesn't fit right now. The square flame doesn't fit through the gap, so they have to cut away a little bit of the steel plate.
The only remedy, break out the blowtorch and cut a bigger hole.
The tricky thing here is that they had to remove the protection to get it in place. So any collision or any touch with the surrounding steel might damage this stainless steel flange. So they really need to be very careful. So much said about precision. It just slipped in a little bit. It landed on one edge, and then now they rotated it in place. That's it.
It's a rough landing, but the thruster is finally in position.
That was really a close fit. In the end, we got it sorted. It's good to see it now there, and we're making our way forward. So that's one tunnel done, 2 more to go for this hull.
Satisfied with progress on the bow section, Knut heads 25 kilometres north to the Chris shipyard in Gdynia. Here a second team of shipbuilders is hard at work constructing another crucial piece of the hull. The Starfish's stern will be the business end of the vessel. It will sport 2 super powerful propellers and the ship's supply deck. With the stern currently surrounded by scaffolding, Knut heads up to check on one of its most crucial but less obvious features: its custom-built contours.
We are underneath the stern of the vessel, the very aft part of it, and we are looking at the shape of the hull.
The Starfish will be tasked with pulling some of the heaviest loads on the ocean. To boost thrust, it's essential that our propellers have as much water to push against as possible. So designers have shaped the ship's stern to channel the maximum amount of water into their path.
They need really a strong push forward, and this is what this design ensures. It's about efficiency, it's about power, and a perfect flow of water underneath the stern of the vessel.
Today is painting day, and the team must move a 105-ton piece of this specially shaped stern 100 metres to the yard's painting shed. With the wind gusting around 15 knots, Knut is crossing his fingers that the lift goes without a hitch.
Yeah, we have some wind today, so This block hanging on the crane, of course, has some surface for the wind, so as it leaves the shelter of the dry dock, it might start to swing or rotate, and this is what we need to look at. Yeah, the hookup looks good. Yeah, okay, and let it fly.
Within seconds, the block starts to swing.
Stop! Picking up the scaffold.
Hello!
Look at that.
A strong gust has caused the block to catch on some scaffolding, leaving a number of metal poles dangling.
Well, the yard is supposed to have their eyes everywhere. Usually you have, with a complex operation like this, you should have 2 or 3 spotters in all corners to cover the blind sectors of the crane driver. And that had been missed out here.
But with some good old-fashioned brute force,
Okay, case closed.
the lift can continue.
And it gives you already good impression of the shape of the hull and the stern guiding the water to the propellers.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks good. Really, really nicely shaped.
With the stern on solid ground, Knut steps in.
Now, what I'm looking at now is possible damages or bends or dents, but it all looks fine. No damages from scaffolding or during the lifting, so that's good.
It's job done.
It's ready for being blasted and painted. Cool.
But with 17 more weeks of construction, followed by a lengthy assembly in Norway, Knut's mission has barely begun. Next,
They've got some problem down there.
drama, as the Invincible's sister rig collides with a sunken ship.
Stop, Augusta, stop.
Singapore, an island city off the southern tip of Malaysia, and home of Keppel Fells, one of the largest rig builders in the world. Here, rig builder Lars Raun Hansen is overseeing construction of the Maersk Integrator, twin sister to Eric's drilling rig.
We've been working on this project since 2011, where we have been here since. So it's been quite a busy 3 years.
Now, the completed rig is due to leave Keppel Fells, bound for Norway, where she will drill for oil in the North Sea.
Well, the last few weeks has been very hectic. It's been our babies here for the last 3.5 years, and it's like a kid leaving home now. We're finished.
The Invincible can't sail to Norway under her own steam. Instead, the team is calling in one of the most extreme marine transporters on the planet. The Hawk is built to haul large ships and rigs long distance and can carry loads of up to 40,000 tons. She also boasts a clever party trick. The Hawk's crew floods special ballast tanks in the hull to lower the deck below the waterline. Once submerged, tugs pull the rig into position. The ballast tanks are then emptied, lifting the rig clear of the water.
Okay, good. Go, go. I will head for the forward leg.
Towmaster Bjarne Jørgensen is the man in charge of loading the integrator on board. Bjarne's first task is to jack up her 200-metre tall legs so that the rig is floating and ready for towing.
Hold down, leg up, jacking now.
Forward leg coming up.
At around 3,000 tons apiece, the legs take 25 minutes to lift.
And everything looking good, Fleming?
All looking good. 0, we're stopped.
Leg 1 complete.
After 10 months on the seafloor, the rig's feet, or spud cans, have become covered in mud.
The spud can needs to be cleaned first of all because when you penetrate it here in the mud in the harbor, there will be mud on the top. And then potentially you will also have dropped object for the construction. And all adds up to weight, and we will not carry any dead weight we don't need.
The team gets to work, blasting off around 30 tons of mud and debris. Meanwhile, a specialist diver gears up to check the underside of the spud can.
Can you check the bottom of the spud can? Is there any falling of mud?
Okay, Roger, top side. Okay, moving up.
So how's the condition on the internal of the spud can? Is there any mud you can visualize?
There's no sign of any mud. Stick to the bottom of the can.
We have more than a thorough inspection of the bottom of the spud can inside the skirt, and it's all clean and clear for mud, just like when it was constructed, so this is good to see.
As the Singapore sun sets on the integrator, Bjarne turns his attention to tomorrow's epic task.
The plan for tomorrow is we have 6 tugs coming, 6 o'clock, which will be connected, and as soon as the sun rises at 7, then we depart from the jetty.
The following morning, it's all hands on deck. 6 tugs tow the integrator clear of the quay and towards the Hawk, waiting semi-submerged 14 kilometers offshore.
Oh, it's going very well. We are 7 minutes ahead of schedule, so we are all pleased. And now we are just turned around in the channel, and now we're heading out.
Snaking the rig through the harbour's busy shipping corridor to reach the Hawk won't be easy.
The biggest challenge to avoid any collision is very congested with shipping here.
That one, he shouldn't be there. You know, maybe later on when we turn, it will be too close.
From the rig's helipad, Towmaster Ekni Tan is helping to coordinate the move.
We already have very limited room. On top of that, they put another few supply vessels on our corridor. Then we left with no space. So we need to monitor very clearly and ensure that all the vessel is clear from the corridors.
Guided by Ekni and the team, the tugs carefully steer the integrator through the congestion.
That is the Hawk. There's already submerged.
With the Hawk's deck lowered, the rig is cleared for loading.
Next challenge will be put the rig onto the carrier. Berhenti ya, Jodian.
Hai, berhenti.
Stop the ballasting.
The tugs must work in perfect unison to guide the 33,000-ton rig over the deck.
When you're moving onto the heavy lifter, then you are in exposed area for collision with the heavy lifter. So that point, it needs to be very, very controlled indeed.
If even one tug pulls too much or too little, the rig could collide with the Hawk.
Okay, Zodiac, steady to heading. Itu warna biru punya ocean tug.
Just hold at this position. Do not proceed anymore forward. Yes, sir. First line secure.
Not any more closer.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
So
We're holding actually. We are holding.
Bring the second line.
The guidepost is getting closer.
As the rig inches towards the guideposts marking her final position, Igni spots that something's wrong.
There's got some problem down there. Pegasus tambah jadi slow, slow.
Stop the Pegasus.
Okay, Pegasus stop. Stop, Pegasus stop. Pegasus has locked line. Full power, already full power. Slow power. So Pegasus, why cannot use Pegasus? The rig is swinging too fast to the carrier. Yeah.
Unable to take up the slack in time, the underside of the rig has collided with one of the Hawk's guideposts.
All the tuck stop. All tuck stop.
The tow line now tight, they try again, guiding the rig towards her final position.
Okay, sky, minimum.
The rig in place, the Hawk's crew empties her ballast tanks.
The Hawk is deballasting now full speed. So I think within 10 minutes we should be on the cribbing.
Slowly, her precious cargo is lifted up and out of the water. Bjarne heads down to the deck to see whether the collision has caused any damage.
It looks terrible. When we came in this morning, we had slack line, so the unit continued to slowly progress over the vessel, and eventually it hit one of the stoppers. So it caused the effect of damaging the stairs. Yeah, it's a pity for the stairs, it's brand new.
The following day, they repair the stairs, secure the rig, and Igni says goodbye.
Actually, this job, every time is an exciting job. Every move is a different move. So, we have to be very careful. And to me, I find it exciting, but you have to be under control.
After a tense week of preparation, the Integrator and Hawk set course for the North Sea. But with more than 23,000 kilometers to go, their journey has only just begun. Next time, the Starfish's hull lands in Norway.
Oh, she's really a beast. She's a beast.
Peter's tanker springs a leak during launch.
The serious problem is that they do not check the people launching. That is the problem.
And the tension builds for the Integrator's crew as she takes up station in the North Sea.
It is absolutely the biggest jack-up rig I have ever tried to move from A to B.